concrete walls. There's a place for us where we could go, where we could be alone. Between city lights, we don't have to hide. I wanna go, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna know, do you wanna follow? I can't understand why we can't hold hands, but they don't know what we have is real love. Aren't you sick and tired of having to hide? I know a place, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow?
What's up, guys? Just showing you guys some of my practice from this week. It's gonna end in just a second. Ready? Is this it? Yep. Perfect timing. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the live stream. It's Sunday afternoon. It's 1 p.m. It's 1 p.m. where I am, but who knows what time it is where you are. If you're in Europe, whee, this is your special day. I stream every Sunday afternoon. So all you folks overseas, well, not all of you guys. I mean, somebody's in a time zone where it's 1 a.m. Sorry. Can get a little bit of that hot Q&A action. Wow, that was unexpectedly suggestive. That's not what I meant to imply. Parents, cover your kids' ears. Yeah, I thought I'd share some footage with you guys. There we go. Close that window. That was me flying what quad was I flying there? You couldn't hear the engine, the motors, so it's a little bit unfair. But that was the Sidora SL5E, my $200 quadcopter in my $200 versus $500 shootout. Pedro Tomei, audio not in sync. I don't know about that. Can you check, maybe reload your stream? Let me see if it looks in sync to me. Pedro Tomei, audio not in sync. I don't know. No, it looks in sync to me. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, resync. Reload the page. That was the Sidora SL5E. And I got to tell you what, for you guys who tune into my live stream, a little bit of a spoiler. I have actually been really surprised. I started this $200 versus $900 quad thing. It was just an idea for a YouTube video that I thought would get views. I mean, I'm not immune to the lure of the clickbait. I mean, is making a video that turns out to be popular clickbait, or is that just making good content? My point is that most of the time when I make videos, it's because you guys are asking questions and I want to make a video that answers the questions. But sometimes I'm just sitting in bed and I go, that would get a lot of views. That would be an interesting video. Like literally, I'm sitting in bed. And that's what I think of. So this $200 versus $900 thing started just as a kind of a YouTube, you know, just... But I've actually really enjoyed some of the experience I've had with these two quads, because the $900 quad is the Mr. Steel Kiss Apex, just the most refined high end. It's interesting the differences between Mr. Steel and me. We could do a whole live stream on those. But I am constantly trying different things. I almost never settle in on one thing because I'm always like reviewing and trying to just get the widest net possible, so I can have as much experience as possible so that when you guys ask me questions, I have a good basis to answer them. Steel has done almost the exact opposite. He has been refining his setup for so long, and not to say that he doesn't try different things, but for the most part, his goal is to hone his setup to a razor's edge, exactly how he likes it. And sorry, little bottle cap there. Today we're drinking Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. And so his answer to any question is fly my rig. You go, well, what if I want to use high-pitched props and big motors on an 800-gram freestyle? I'll stop doing that. On a freestyle quad. Well, you know, his answer is don't do that. But it is interesting because there's definitely something to his rig. I got to tell you, when I bought his rig, I was going into it with an open mind, but I did have the thought, how much difference could there be? It's probably just another 5-inch and maybe a little bit of here or there, but mostly hype. And I got to say, there's definitely some hype, because how could there not be with anything that Mr. Steel, Ethics, and TBS touches? Hype is just a part of it. But there's definitely something there, and it was really enjoyable to get to experience it. Is it $900 worth of something? Wait for the full review. But I've also been really pleasantly surprised by the Sidora SL5E, a $200 ready-to-fly. And there was a time when any ready-to-fly or bind-and-fly FPV quad was crap and you just shouldn't buy it. And we've come a long way since then. I'm so impressed. I'm so impressed with both of these quads in different ways. So I'm really looking forward to making that video for you guys. It should come out this week, I believe, is on my schedule. This has been a really fun experience. And to everybody out there who said, Bardwell, you got to try Kiss. Bardwell, you got to try Kiss. I finally did. Now, to everybody out there who is now saying, so is it better than Betaflight? Just stop. Just stop. That's like saying, you know, New York style pizza versus Chicago style pizza, which is better? New York style, first of all. That's a fact. Chicago style is good. It's just not pizza. Moving on. Kiss, Betaflight. I really appreciated some of the comments in the Team Black Sheep. I think it was the TBS Lounge where I posted that video. People said I fly Kiss when I want like razor sharp precision. I fly Betaflight when I want to just go hard and do flippy flops. People talked about the differences between the firmwares, that they both had their advantages and disadvantages. And I think there's definitely truth to that. Another question that I'm looking forward to getting. And speaking of questions, I will be answering your questions, but I always like to start the live stream with just a little bit of banter. So if you're new here and you're wondering, when am I going to actually get to the freaking questions? Don't worry, I will. One of the questions I'm interested in looking into is how much of the uniqueness of Steel's setup is the Kiss flight controller, and how much is the, like, there's so much more to the setup than the flight controller. And if the flight controller didn't matter, he wouldn't fly it. If Betaflight could serve his needs better, he'd be flying Betaflight. So obviously the Kiss flight controller is part of it. But what if you took Steel's Apex Alien, or sorry, Apex. What if you took that whole quad and you took the Kiss flight controller out and you put a Betaflight flight controller in it? Well, obviously it would just start smoking light on fire from the heresy. But it'd be a very interesting experiment, because he has a very lightweight build, very, low pitch props. It's very interesting. I've been talking about how I think freestyle builds have gotten too heavy, and I think freestyle pilots are missing out. I've been talking about this since before I flew Steel's quad, by the way. So I'm working on my next ultimate freestyle build, and it's already for months now been planned to be a more lightweight build. And when that comes out, I don't want you guys saying, see, he's just flew Steel's, and now he's ganking Steel's design methodology. True, Steel has been a proponent of the lightweight design methodology since before me. So absolutely Steel got there first, but I don't want anybody thinking that I like him. Just, you know, different paths up the mountain. Anyway, so look forward to that. Look forward to that. Emu Flight, that's another one that people are saying, oh, you got to fly Emu Flight. Yeah. The problem is there's so many things out there. And there's so many things out there. People are like, I've been trying to get you to fly KISS for a year. Yeah, I've been trying to fly KISS for a year. There's so many things out there for me to make content about. I can't make it all. Anyway. Okay, one other piece of news that I want to talk about. This is a big deal. And then we'll get to the questions. What's this? What's this? Well, well, it's the TBS Tango mainboard, obviously, but there's something new. TBS has talked about this on the TBS Couch, their live stream, and they have released a new mainboard for the TBS Tango 2 that has a new ribbon cable connector. What could that be for? Well, no one knows for sure. But little birdies are telling me that it might be for a multi-protocol module. In other words, TBS released the Tango 2, and a lot of people, including me, said, this is a fantastic radio, but if it only supports Crossfire, I can't buy it. As much as I love Crossfire, I don't have 100% Crossfire quads. Now, you might think TBS and a multi-protocol module, what the hell? But TBS sells the jumper. TBS sells the jumper T16 in their store. So, I don't know. Maybe the enemy of my enemy is my friend. They both hate Free Sky, so they just... TBS, normally I would not expect to see them collaborating with, like, the makers of a multi-protocol module. Technically, the multi-protocol module is open source. It's not a jumper thing. But if this is true, then the Tango 2 is going to become a total, like, it is, in my opinion, my humble opinion, the Tango 2 will now be the undisputed best game controller style controller. Like, it'll just, in my opinion, just put the X-Lite in the, I mean, the X-Lite is okay. I feel like the ergonomics on the Tango 2 are way better, and I feel like the gimbals on the Tango 2 are way better, and it has built-in Crossfire. I feel like if that's true, that's going to be a really bold move for TBS. And, you know, with a company like TBS, it's hard to know whether they would just stick to their guns. Because, like, their flight controller is like an F3 flight controller. And for the longest time, they were like, well, we just don't think you need an F4 or an F7. It's fine. And they just stuck to their guns despite market pressure. And they could have stuck to their guns with the Tango 2 and said, no, we're not putting a 2.4 gig module in it. We're sticking with Crossfire, and you can take it or leave it. But this suggests that perhaps they did hear that criticism and decide to respond to it, maybe begrudgingly. And if so, I think that's going to be a real baller move. So, oh yeah, oh hey, oh yeah. Do you want to? What's this? What's this here? What's this here? Jumper T18. Yeah, it came in the mail. It came in the mail. So, Radio Master TX16S, Jumper T18. Jumper T18 is, I'm going to be working this week to get this review put together. Probably won't come out this week because I'm not just going to bang it out in a day and then like act like I just got this radio on Friday. So obviously I can't possibly release a responsible and thorough review in just a day, but I am going to work on it. And so you should be seeing that soon. It's very exciting. 661 FPV, I don't know the context for this comment, but 661 FPV says receivers can only be bound to one transmitter. Yes, but no. 661 FPV, that is changing. That has been true in the past. Free Sky Access allows you to register a receiver with multiple transmitters and then switch the bind around without having to press a bind button. So that's kind of functionally like binding to multiple transmitters. And Crossfire, oh, here's my T16 with Crossfire on it. Crossfire has a new thing, multi-bind, where you can bind the Crossfire module to multiple the receiver to multiple modules and then switch back and forth. So that is a thing that is coming. The question that many people are asking is which one of these radios is going to be my daily driver. I got to tell you, for the time being, my daily driver is going to stay the Jumper T16. And the reason for that is that the Crossfire multi-shot firmware is only available for the T16. It's not available for these new radios, as far as I know. TBS hasn't built it. So until, I think OpenTX 2.4 is where Crossfire is expected. I'm not sure, but can anybody in the chat tell me if that's true? Yeah. Until that comes, Crossfire shot does make enough of a difference that I'm not going to switch radios and give it up. It does make a difference. What about range on the T18? That is exactly right. One of the reasons that my T18 review is going to take a little bit of time is that I need to order an R9 module. I have it coming in the mail. I need to test the range of this guy on 900 megahertz compared to an authentic R9 module. And I don't actually own any R9 gear. I had some once upon a time and I gave it away. I do a monthly giveaway to my patrons over on my Patreon page. Speaking of my patrons, hello everybody. Welcome. This is my little dashboard here. And right here on the upper right, these are my patrons over in my Discord server. If you want to join those lovely, lovely people with the green usernames on my Discord server, you can become a patron. Link in the video description to my Patreon page, as little as $2 a month or more if you feel like I've earned it. I always say there are no reward tiers on my Patreon. You just give me what you think you feel like I earned. It's $2 a month or it's $100 a month. I mean, nobody really gives me $100 a month, but however much you feel like I earned, that's all. And once you get in the door, you're in the door. Do you remember when I read the super chat, Marbrodette? I read the super chat. We're only 13 minutes into the stream. I don't think I've ever gotten to the super chat before 20 minutes into the stream. But hello, Discord. Oh, that's that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Thank you, Katie. Oh man, over here on the left, I've got your chats coming in. Hello, everybody. Hello. Say hello in the chat. Is there a JBF7 coming out? Johnny DRC, you got it. There is. There is. Yep, I'll tell you more about that in a second. Parker Boy, if you have a Tango 2, you are already running Crossfire Shot. It's built in to the Tango 2. The Crossfire Shot solves a problem that the OpenTX had on, like, the Tyrannus. But TBS fixed that problem on the Tango. It's fixed already. You already have Crossfire Shot if you're on the Tango 2, so you're fine. Hello, everybody. Skypick Aerial Photography, Arab FPV, Will Davis, Pedro Tomei, Gear God, Oliver Ramsey, Hate Eternal Maver, Tony DeRuvo, Christopher DeWitt. That sounds like Christophe DeWitt. Sounds like a Dutch name. Is that a Dutch name? Maybe it is. I don't mean to be racist. Davio6, I do monthly giveaways on YouTube also. My new product roundup and giveaway every month, usually in the first week of the month. This month it's going to get bumped to the second week because of my schedule. It just is what it is. I needed to shuffle around some videos. But at least once a month, usually in the first week of the month, I do a new product roundup and giveaway. And if you watch my channel for that, subscribe, hit the notification bell, you'll see that come up, and I do a giveaway. So Turtle BFPV, you are on live chat. Anyway, yeah, I do one monthly giveaway on my Patreon page and one monthly giveaway on my YouTube. So that's what's going on. And now let's take some of your questions. Let's take some of your questions. And I guess I'll start with the super chats. Fine, super chats. By the way, if you don't know what a super chat is, see all these questions going by that I'm missing because they go by too fast. If you want to make sure I get your question, hit this $sign. Send a couple bucks my way, and it will get pulled out to this window in the super chats, where I will then also subsequently ignore it for like 20 minutes, but I will get to it. Oh man, you got too many your vowels. I don't know how to do Swedish vowels. Brudet in the stall. I think I know how to pronounce that A from David Windestål. This is bad. More Brudet. Thank you for 20 Norwegian kroner. Furdan Gardet, how are you? I don't know how to speak Norwegian. Eddie Fun, I'm doing fine, thank you. Eddie Fun, it's not Swedish. I'm so sorry. It's Norwegian. Believe me, I'm not even going to get close. I just... That's the only place I know where that vowel comes from. Eddie Fun, thank you for $5. No question, just wanted to say thanks. Thank you, Eddie. J Dub, thank you for $5. Can you set up a second transmitter bound to the same RX? You can do that with FreeSky Access protocol, and just recently, Crossfire has added the ability to do that. So why would you even want to do that? There's two reasons that people tend to do that. One is if you just like to have a spare transmitter, especially if you're like a pro racer. You don't want to get knocked out of a race because your transmitter broke. So many times a pro racer will show up for a race with 10 or 15 of the same quad, I'm not exaggerating, and 2 transmitters, because why not? What if it breaks? And the ability to have them already bound would save you some trouble. The other time that people will do this is for like relay racing. The way that, and this is a very obscure race format, if you've never heard of it, I don't blame you, but the way that relay racing would work is you would have the same quad, and you would land the quad, and then you would have a different transmitter. No, how does that even work? I don't know. But at FreeSky Access, you can register the receiver to multiple controllers and switch the bind without having to press the bind button. And Crossfire has a similar thing. It's just brand new. Our Amonor Threat 99, thank you for $5 in the super chat. I grabbed the Diatone GTR 349, and the stock tune on 357 is garbage. Should I wait for 4.2, then update or go? I would go 4.2. I would feel 100% comfortable flashing the release candidate of 4.2. Generally, release candidates don't have absolute deal breaker bugs. It could. You should treat it with caution. But as long as you're just, as long as you're safe with the props, and especially on a 3-inch, I would try 4.2. 4.2 has some advantages. You could also, because the R349 is such a popular quad, somewhere out there, there's probably a tune you could find for the 357 that someone else has come up with. Somebody like Nick Burns or another guy who's like a really prominent micro tuner probably has a tune for it. Mango, thank you for £5 in the soup chat. I followed your vids on setting up RPM filter, and on the second flight today, the quad flipped out when coming into land. Oh boy, there's a YouTube link. Oh no. I don't wanna, oh no. There we go. I wanna see this video, but I don't wanna lose that window. Hold on, let's have a look at this. Let's have a look here. Can we get this video up? Okay, let's see this quad flip out when it comes into land. I just had to check the video to make sure it wasn't actually a rickroll or something worse. Here we go. Potato quality video. Is there schmutz on your lens, or is that just potato quality YouTube? I don't know which. If it looks like potato for you guys on the live stream, don't worry. It also looks like potato for me. Ah! It flipped out. Did you hit the ground? Did you hit the ground? I don't think you hit the ground. It just looks like you're just, wow. That's bad. So look, if that happened after you implemented the RPM filtering, maybe turn RPM filtering off and turn bidirectional D-shot off and just see if that, like if, for example, if you were marginal on your motor error percent, maybe your ESC is like marginal on bidirectional D-shot, and then you had a motor, like the motor signal was corrupted or something and the ESC flipped out, maybe drop from D-shot 600 down to D-shot 300. Basically step everything back just a little bit. Drop the filters back closer to 1.0 if you move the filter sliders to the right. Drop from D-shot 600 to 300 or 300 to 150 to get a little bit less corruption, a little bit more resilience in your motor signal. Just want to use sort of a process of elimination to see if turning on bidirectional D-shot and RPM filters caused this problem, or if it was just a coincidence, because you never know. Also, make sure you counted your motor magnets and set the motor poles correctly, because if you didn't do that, that will throw off the filtering, and that could cause a problem. Hey, Jesse. Wow. Hey, Jesse. 50 Canadian dollars. Thank you. That's a giant donation. Thank you. Hey, Jesse. Your videos are great and informative. Keep up the good work. Oh, thank you. I'm new to this. I hate saying positive things about myself, but when people leave super chats, I have to do it. I'm new to the sport and I'm trying to turn on Black Box. I'm not sure how to set it up or if my setup is compatible. Hobbywing 60 amp 4-in-1 stack with DJI Air unit. Betaflight isn't reading the SD. The Hobbywing 60 amp 4-in-1 stack, so I assume it has the SD card, right? Does it have an SD card reader? Like, let's just double check here. I mean, I assume it does or you wouldn't have said that, but let's just be sure we're on the same page. Is it the micro? No, it's not the micro. The micro can't have an SD card. They never do. 60 amp micro Hobbywing. Let's just try Hobbywing FC. B-Wing with 2 B's. X-Rotor flight controller. Combo X-Rotor FPV stack 4-in-1. Does it have an oh, hey, there's Evan Turner. Does it have an SD card? Can anybody help me with this? Like, for 50 Canadian dollars, I definitely want to make sure I do my best to get you an answer. Hobbywing FC. Here we go. There it is. Okay, so it does have an SD card reader. Thank God. Okay. So I'm going to assume this is the one that you've got. And you're going to want to make sure in the black box tab that you're set to SD card as you're logging. And at that point, if Betaflight refuses to read the SD card, like you plug in the SD card and it doesn't say SD card ready, make sure the SD card is less than 32 gig. That's a common problem that people get. Betaflight can't read. If the SD card is larger than 32 gig, it has to be formatted as exFAT and not FAT. And Betaflight can't read that. The other thing is that, yeah, so it has to be less than 32 gig and formatted as FAT. So those are the things I would look into. The thing is, you don't need a large SD card. Even like a 32 gig card could literally hold just weeks and weeks of data. Like literally weeks of data, of continuous data. So if you look at the size of your black box logs, they're a few KB, maybe as much as 8 or 10 KB for a single flight. So even if you had a 1 or 2 gig SD card, you would never fill it up, just never. So if you've got if you think you need a bigger SD card, you don't. And Betaflight can't read more than 32 gig. Those are a couple things that might be tripping you up. Hey, Jesse, thank you for your donation. Arctic Ice Drone, 22 Norwegian kroner, best kroner. My quad is singing the startup tune twice. Why? The most common reason you would hear the startup tune twice is that one of the motors is slightly out of sync with the others. So you're actually only hearing it once, but you hear it twice because it's out of sync. That's especially if you're using bidirectional D-Shot, that's not necessarily a problem. Sometimes bidirectional D-Shot has additional error correction, and the ESC won't initialize until the error correction passes. And a lot of times when you enable bidirectional D-Shot, you start hearing the motor tone slightly out of sync. As long as your error percent is low, less than 1% in the motors tab, you're probably fine, and you could probably ignore it. Tyler Landon, thanks for $10. No question. Mr. Menace FPV, thanks for $5. My laptop crashed, so I'm stuck with SpeedyBee. I'm trying to tune the Meteor 65 with Crossfire, but it crashes when I hit the PID tab. Is there a workaround for this? Mr. Menace, I wonder if you're using Betaflight 4.2 and SpeedyBee hasn't been updated to support it yet. This is a problem that you can run into with SpeedyBee, that it doesn't update. It's not officially the Betaflight configurator. You may be out of luck if you're using an incompatible version, but there's no real workaround other than SpeedyBee needs to update, or you need to change your Betaflight version to be compatible. That's my guess. Daryl Stone, thank you for $2. Phil Volhart, thank you for $2. Sean Youssef, thank you for £2. Hey, Jesse, thank you for $2 more Canadian dollars and $5 more Canadian dollars. Yeah, hey, Jesse, you definitely can use the SD card in the Air unit, but just make sure that your SD card is 32 gig or less and formatted as FAT. Those are my guesses. Josias Cloeti, thank you for 14 ZAR from South Africa. Rand, I think, right? Aminor Threat 99, thanks for 10 bucks. The Diatone R3049 doesn't feel 100 miles per hour fast out of the box in stability mode. No, in angle mode, it may not pitch forward enough to hit 100 miles an hour. You definitely need acro to get enough forward tilt to get the speed. You can change the maximum tilt angle, I suppose, but I would just learn to fly in acro mode. That's what you want to do. It may not be hitting 100 miles an hour also. You never know. Okay. Got 2 more super chats, then we're going to get some questions from the regular chat. The super chats have just been coming in too fast and furious. Rusted says the SpeedyBee app has support for 4.2. I don't know what to tell you then. Make sure you're on the latest SpeedyBee. Maybe it didn't update. That damn hawk, thanks for $5. QX7 won't go on, just speaker click. Trying to flash with OpenTX and Zadig, but STM32 bootloader won't show up in Zadig or on the device manager. Oh boy. If it won't flash, I mean, plug in with power off and you should see something show up in Zadig. If you've been using Zadig, you might have screwed up the drivers by accident. So thank you, MKME Lab, for moderating. Thank you, sir. Thanks for getting on top of that. Yeah, when you plug in, something should appear in the device manager, but basically you want to find out what appears and then remove it in the device manager and reinstall the drivers. The other thing, good point, it's Blunty in the Discord. Open the QX7 up, pull the SD card out, and pull the button cell battery out, the coin cell battery, and then wait a second and try it, plug it back in. A lot of times that will bring it back to life. John Thomas, thanks for $5 in the super chat. I'm Frankensteining a 5-inch, having trouble powering a Seal Racing F4 flight controller off of BL Heli S 4-in-1. I can't find a jumper and just need 5 volts. John Thomas, 2 things. The Seal Racing F4 has a 5-volt regulator on board, so you should power the Seal Racing F4 from VBAT, and then it has 5-volt output. So I'm not sure what the problem is there. If you're trying to get 5 volts out of the ESC may not have a 5-volt regulator, but that's okay because the Seal Racing F4 has a 5-volt regulator, and that's what you should be using. So like here on the Seal Racing F4, here's a 5-volt output right here. Boom. There you go. Okay. Let's get some questions from the regular chat. When do you think we will see the first DJI FPV whoop? Asks Hauser. Well, the Coax Nebula is coming out on is it an 85 millimeter iFlight? iFlight has a new DJI with Coax Vista and the Nebula camera. I think it's an 85 millimeter. I don't think I would necessarily call that a whoop, but we're getting close. We're getting close. The weight just has to come way down before you could. I mean, a true tiny whoop is in the 20 to 25 gram weight range. That's the weight of the Vista, and the DJI system has to come way down before you can really call it a whoop. It's Blunty is reminding me in the Discord that in the latest TBS Couch, Trappy seems to imply that they are going to release a full-size version of the TBS Tango. I would definitely look forward to that. I like the full-size controllers more than the game controller style. And the TBS Tango is a very, very good controller. I definitely would have considered switching to it. Number one, if it was full size, and number two, if it had 2.4 gigahertz, which it didn't. N3F Rain asks in the YouTube chat, which Crossfire module should I get in combination with the DJI FPV system? Is the micro module go far enough to use the full potential of the DJI FPV video? Yes, N3F Rain, in general, I think that for typical analog 5 gigahertz FPV, like 800 milliwatts, 1 watt maximum output power, the 250 milliwatt Crossfire module, the Crossfire micro module, is more than sufficient. You definitely can get 4 kilometers on the Crossfire micro module. You may not have the amount of link reliability that you would want, and going with the full-size module or the light module and getting 2 watts of output power, that definitely gives you a little bit more margin. But the downside is that you need the external power. You need an external battery or an external power to go above 250 milliwatts, which is a little bit annoying. the other reason that you might consider going with the full size or the light module is that some people are locking their Crossfire at 150 hertz refresh rate. The way that Crossfire works is when you're up close and the signal is strong, it uses 150 hertz refresh rate, which has the ultra low latency. And then as you get further away, it drops to 50 hertz and you get higher latency, but who cares, because you're probably not, you're doing more long distance stuff. Well, that drop to 50 hertz happens earlier than you might think. And some people are locking it at 150 hertz so that it just never drops to 50 hertz and you always get the low latency, but you get a reduced range. You get reduced range. And that is, if you want the maximum range out of the 150 hertz low latency mode, using the light module at 2 watts would help with that. In general, I think most people are going to be happy with the micro module, though. It has plenty of range. Oxdude, I don't know how to say your name, man. What came before BL Heli? I have a 4-in-1 ESC. None of the BL Heli programs can read. I mean, before BL Heli, there was Simon K. But I don't think Simon K ever made a 4-in-1 ESC. So I would guess that you have some third party. There are other firmwares out there that aren't BL Heli. They're very rare, but maybe that's what you have. Botgrinder is here. Botgrinder. I'm amazed he's awake at this time of day for the live stream. Nice to see you, Botgrinder. Botgrinder, I am drinking beers today. Crack one for me, sir. Botgrinder asks, who would win in a fight between Robocop and Dracula? Let's think that one through. I think we can assume the fight would be at night, because Dracula only comes out at night, obviously. He's a vampire. And Robocop fights crime, and a lot of crime happens at night. So if the fight was held during the day, I mean, if Robocop just went to Dracula's castle during the day, opened up his crypt, stabbed him, done, fight over. But let's assume that the fight has happened at night. Dracula has hid the location of his crypt in such a way that Robocop couldn't get there. Maybe Dracula came out and was like committing some crimes, and Robocop was like, you know, stop. And then Dracula was like, now they're fighting. So Robocop fires bullets, but bullets don't hurt Dracula, right? I mean, that's true. You need silver bullets. Those are werewolves, my bad. You need a stake through the heart. Like, what kills a vampire, right? Bullets don't. He'll just, like, into dust and become a bat or whatever. On the other hand, vampires rely on mind control. They rely on mind control. They dominate the will of their victims. And then they'll, like, bite you in the neck and suck your blood. But Robocop doesn't have blood. He's got, like, hydraulic fluid and shit. And he has a mind, but how susceptible is Robocop's mind to Dracula's sway? That's the question. How much humanity is left in Robocop? Which is fundamentally the question of Robocop. How much humanity is left in that cyborg? He has no brain, says Cutback 101. What do you mean he has no brain? Robocop doesn't have a brain. He has a mind, right? So I think we're kind of at a stalemate here. We're kind of at a stalemate. Robocop can't beat Dracula like in a stand-up fight because he doesn't have, like, you know, the weapons. He has to find Dracula during the day. That's how you kill a vampire. Now, Robocop could, like, have garlic and shit to kind of ward off Dracula. I think the way the fight would really go is that Dracula would not reveal himself to be a vampire, right? Vampires are sneaky. They don't have stand-up fights. They lose stand-up fights. Unless we're talking about, like, you know, vampire, you know, there's some vampires, like, what's that movie with the, I'm not blanking on. There are some movies where vampires are like stand-up fighters, but usually, traditionally, Dracula vampires, he's not a stand-up fighter. He's sneaky. So I think the way it would go is that Dracula would be like the CEO of some corporation who would buy Robocop, and Robocop would never have a chance. Dracula wins. That's it. Dracula wins. Because Dracula would never let Robocop know that Dracula was a threat until Robocop was already in Dracula's thrall. That's what I'm going. It's Dracula. I mean, yeah, that's what I'm going with. Okay. Now we know. Caleb K wants to know Sidora SL5E. This is why you tune into the live stream, guys. Blade. Mr. Shady, Blade is not the movie I was thinking of, though. Blade does have stand-up fighty vampires. What was that other movie? It has a female protagonist. What flippin' movie was it? Had vampires. I don't remember. Anyway. Sidora versus Nazgul. That's a tough one. The Nazgul has upgraded gear compared to the Sidora, but I've been flying the Sidora for the last like 2 weeks, and the Sidora is shockingly good for $200. So it kind of raises the question: why would you? Underworld. Thank you, Archimedes. Underworld. That's the movie I was thinking of. Yeah, and now the whole chat is exploding with people saying Underworld. Oh man. Oh. Underworld, thank you. Not Lost Boys. Lost Boys, that was some good shit right there. Welcome to the 90s. The problem with the iFlight lineup is that the iFlight made the Sidora so freaking good that it kind of makes you ask the question, why would you spend $100 more for the Nazgul? Wait, the Nazgul is also cheap. No. The Sidora beats the Nazgul. What's the next one up? Crap. Oh, no, it's the Sidora and the Sidora SL5E. That's it. The SL5E is the $200 one. I'll get there. The SL5E is the $200 one. The SL5 is the $300 one. The SL5E is the one I've been flying, and it's pretty good. The Sidora SL5 is $300. It's better than the Nazgul. It's better than the SL5E, but the SL5E is pretty freaking good, and I'm not sure I could feel that there's really a huge compelling advantage to the $300 SL5 compared to the SL5E. But it's probably there if you wanted to spend it. The Sidora is much easier to get. That's the thing. The Nazgul was only available on Banggood as far as I know. And the Sidora is available everywhere. It's not Twilight Rick Can FPV. That's for sure. Amador Threat 99, thanks for $5 in the super chat. A few purchase questions. Thoughts on the Race Day Quads drone bag and the Luminaire Chief ready to fly with Flight 1 for racing fastboy maneuvers. Let's take a look at that Race Day Quads drone bag. Race Day Quads has just revealed, I think it's on pre-order. Race Day Quads has developed a backpack with a manufacturer. It's $80. It's a pretty good price point for a backpack. Many of the ultra budget kind of crappy backpacks I see people using are in the $40 to $60 price range. So $80 is not that much more. Can I get this picture? Can I zoom in on this picture? Come on. For real? Can I zoom? Can I not zoom in? What is wrong? Oh. I really would like to zoom in on this picture, but no. Oh, there it is. Race Day Quads backpack. Let's see if we can show some info about this, how it goes together. Can I zoom? Oh, hang on a second. I have the power. Boop. Zoom in a little bit. Hang on a second. Oh, that's pretty well zoomed. That's pretty well zoomed. Okay. Well, there you go. That's all you're gonna get. Yeah, got some dividers on the inside. Got this little mesh flap here. Then so I got a little tool pouch here. Yeah. And you stick all this crap on the outside. It's cute because they show, they always do this. They show, look at all the things that can go in here. And then in the final picture, like half of it's stuck to the outside. Okay, that's fair. People do that, but nevertheless. Oh. $80. That's, yeah, that's interesting. I gotta tell you guys, I had my wife bought a backpack recently. Now, I'm never going to find the exact backpack she bought. Hold on. She bought a backpack recently from this website. She just did some research on, like, good backpacks, okay? And she found a backpack on this site. Bags and packs. I'll never find it. Packs? Is it a pack? But she found a backpack on this site that was like $60. And when it came in the mail, I was like, holy crap, this is a great backpack. Like, it's something like this. I don't know which one it is. Okay, that one's 129 bucks. That's more expensive. And I thought to myself, if you're going to buy the kind of backpack where you just stick all the crap in it, where you don't have all the internal dividers and everything, then it's just find one of these backpacks and buy it. It just seems really well made and durable. Whereas a lot of the times when you go with one of the cheaper FPV backpacks, you give up a lot in terms of durability and comfort to get the FPV stuff. Anyway, I'm looking forward to... I haven't got my hands on this Race Day Quads backpack, but it does look like it ticks a lot of the boxes. But if you're looking, maybe for somebody shopping in the $60 to $80 price range, it would be better to find a very good non-FPV backpack and just stick all your crap in it, which is kind of what you may be going to do anyway. I like the Torval. It's like 300 bucks, and it's a very, very good FPV backpack. Tfufu2100 asks a very good technical question. What's the difference between bi-directional D-Shot and UART ESC telemetry? The difference is that UART ESC telemetry carries RPM data, but also more other data like ESC temperature, for example. ESC telemetry, though, the way it works is all of the ESCs are pulled in round-robin format. So all of the ESCs go to the same UART. And the flight controller says, ESC number 1, send me your data. ESC number 2, send me your data. ESC number 3, send me your data. ESC number 4, send me your data. ESC number 1, that's round-robin format. And the problem is that this happens too slowly for RPM filtering to work, because for RPM filtering to work, we need the RPM data now, not 10 milliseconds. Even 10 milliseconds of difference can cause the RPM filters to be off. So bidirectional D-Shot gives the RPM data, like each time you send a D-Shot command, we get the RPM data back in as close to real time as we can possibly get. So then the question you ask is, if you're using bidirectional D-Shot, what is the point of having ESC telemetry? Well, it's a very good question. And for a lot of people, the answer is, if you're using bidirectional D-Shot, you don't need it. So what kind of data does ESC telemetry carry? It carries RPM, but that's useless. Bidirectional D-Shot does that better, so forget that. It carries battery voltage. Well, most people don't need... The people who need ESC telemetry to carry battery voltage are people with like an 8S or a 12S quad, where the flight controller can't be powered from VBAT directly because it would fry. So on my Beast class quad, which you see behind me... No, you don't see it. It's there. There it is. It runs off 12S, and the only way to get battery voltage into the flight controller is ESC telemetry. You could do it with a voltage divider, but that's a hassle. So most people don't need battery voltage through ESC telemetry. What else? Current sensing. Well, most ESCs today are taking current data out of ESC telemetry because if you have current sensing in ESC telemetry, then you need 4 separate current shunt resistors, and that's a hassle. They're just doing analog current sensing, and they don't have current data in ESC telemetry. So what does that leave? ESC temperature. Who cares? So for most people, you actually don't need ESC telemetry because you're getting current data via analog current sensing. You're getting RPM data via bidirectional D-Shot, and you're getting VBAT directly from the flight controller, and you don't care about it. So you're absolutely right. There you go. Danny Harjono in the Discord wants to know what I think of this frame, the T-Motor FT5 5-inch frame. Okay, so the first thing I gotta say is that most frames don't impress me because most frames are just an iteration with very little innovation on a very well-established formula. And that's not to be critical of this specific frame. It's just to tell you that my first reaction when I see a frame is, oh, look, another frame. Isn't that interesting? And if you like this frame, that probably means there's nothing wrong with it, but also probably means I'm not going to be like, ooh, super impressed. Fair enough. So what do we got going on here? So this type of frame is commonly called the school bus frame. It's just a bottom plate, a top plate, arms. Let's see what design decisions they have made, though. One of the design decisions they've made is to put the arms inside the frame. I suppose you could probably reverse that and put these standoffs wouldn't be the right length. They put the arms inside the frame. They've got the stack screws going through the arm, I believe. I'm not a fan of that decision because it means if you want to replace an arm, you have to take the stack screw out. It's not a total deal breaker for me, but I'm not a huge fan of it. I prefer to have the stack screws not go through the arm if possible. And it looks like there's 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 holes here, depending on if you go 20 millimeter or 36 millimeter. Maybe. Can we see the arm? Maybe they don't go through. Oh, no. Smart. Very smart. Okay. Okay. All right. You got me. You got me. The stack screws, okay, so they got this cutout here, and the stack screw doesn't have to be removed to replace the arm. Okay, that's smart. But the stack screw does go into this slot and help sort of hold the arm in place. That's good. I think a three screw retention is going to be more stable, especially as you start to take hits, than a 2 screw retention. The arms don't come together in a way that locks them together. But with 3 screws, you're probably going to be fine. I'm not thrilled at seeing the tooling marks here. The fact that I can see tooling marks here tells me, I mean, this is your product shot. You definitely should have picked a perfect one. So, like, you see this crack in the... Why is that? Why am I seeing that? That doesn't fill me with confidence that, you know, the one I'm going to get. Now, does that matter? It doesn't matter. It's probably fine. But just, like, why didn't you pick a perfect one for your product shots? I don't know. Just a little disappointed there. Unless these are race day quads photos. I don't think these are... I think these are probably T-Motors photos, but I'm not 100% sure. Yeah. It's nice that it comes with bumpers. This style of antenna mount, I'm not a fan of. The antenna just rips out. It does have the 2 holes, so that's good. If you're using, you should definitely use a SMA pigtail with the 2 holes with the brass. Let me show you. I'll show you what I mean. Images. Let me find one. So what you don't want is this style with just a nut. This is no good on like TPU. This will just rip out. What you want is this style, the TBS style one, with the wide brass and the 2 holes. These 2 screw holes will hold quite firmly and securely. This style will just rip right out. That's okay. I'm okay with that. Got a crossfire holder. How much is it? $50? Eh. So here's the question I would ask anybody who shows me a frame. You can get a TBS Source 1 frame for $25. So here's what I want to know. Is it Source 1 with space? Oh, that's not how you do it. Not how you do it at all. You can get a Source 1 for $25. Yeah, 5-inch freestyle frame. $26 for the TBS, or this is the Race Day Quads version of the Source 1. And when you ask for $50 for a frame, and this is true for any frame, and I'm not saying there isn't an answer, but this is a pretty solid frame for $27. So what are you getting from this one that you don't get from this one? Well, does it come with the GoPro holder? Because that could cost you $10 all by itself. Anyway, there you go. Those are my thoughts. Enjoy. Now we'll come back to the stream in the chat. People are going to be like, Yep. Audio Geek says he really likes to talk, doesn't he? That is the whole point of this live stream, is that I talk. Right? What are you here for? Other than to listen to me talk. Get hex press nuts? That's true. I'm not saying there isn't an answer. I'm just saying you have to ask the question. Hex press nuts holding the arms in? Bridged standoffs? Bridged standoffs. What does that even mean? Anyway. get a couple more super chats. You asked. That's why you asked. Crazy Kid Jack says, speaking of current sensing, I was trying to get current sensing set up on Betaflight, but I couldn't. But look at the top plate. What's wrong? What about the top plate? What about the top plate? Oliver Coates, what am I missing about the top plate? Tell me. Computer Techie is spamming the chat. Stop it. Stop spamming the chat. Stop spamming the chat. Timeout. Timeout. You're in timeout. What am I missing about the top plate? I'm dying to know. It's in 3 parts. What are you talking about? On the T-motor? Oh, that is clever. See? I can't decide if that's a pro or a con. Okay, like you're being clever, but I don't know about that. I'll give you that's clever. I just spent 15 minutes talking about this frame and missed the whole point. So, thanks, chat. I don't know if I like that. I don't know. It could be a weak spot. It could be good, but it could be a weak spot. You're either really brilliant or you're really dumb. I don't know. I don't know. The middle standoffs are bridged, but the problem is that the stress point for frontal impacts is usually... Let me go back here. So thank you, chat, for letting me know about that. The stress point for frontal impacts is going to be right here. Right in front of this screw is where it always breaks. And the problem is that now we've weakened that area. Right? You guys know, if you have this style of frame, you take the hit in the front, either the top or the bottom plate develops a stress fracture, usually right in front of the second standoff from the back. And now what we've got is, where's the flipping picture? Yeah, we've weakened that area. I don't know. I'm not, it's clever. I do like the idea that we could work on it by only taking 2 screws out. I like that, but I'm just not convinced the durability is going to be there. So I feel like you've solved one problem but created another. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay. I'm glad I got to that point finally. Thank you to everyone who was shouting at me. The only time you'll hear me say that sentence. Steve Grenon says, what's the proper way to get the home direction pointer to point home? Betaflight 416, I can't get it to point home. If you have a compass, you need to set the compass alignment correctly. The compass, if the alignment is not right, it will throw it off. You can look in my iNav tutorial. You can look at my iNav tutorial and calibrate compass. Here we go. This video is the one where I show how to set the compass alignment. There it is. If you do not have a compass, then Betaflight is getting the direction home from the GPS. But the problem is that the GPS heading does not read correctly except when you are moving forward. So the direction home may point the wrong direction if you stop and rotate. You need a compass to make it point home. But it should point home after you start moving. GPS doesn't have a direction. You could also just disable the compass. That's absolutely right. But if you have a compass, you want to use it. Get some super chats real quick here. Coelho FPV, thank you for $5. What's a good source for a super lightweight 4-inch frame other than CNC Madness? Good question. I appreciate your donation. I have not ventured into the sub 250, the 4-inch and 5-inch toothpick realm yet. I'm still figuring out how I feel about those. So I don't know for sure a super light. What about the Emax Hawk? Does that count as super lightweight? Unfortunately, Coelho, maybe the chat can help. What's a great 4-inch frame that's super lightweight? Thank you for your donation, though, Coelho. Amon Threat 99, thanks for $5. Follow-up. What do you think about the Luminaire Chief? Oh, thank you. You asked that question, and then I didn't answer it because I got distracted by your other question. That's the risk of putting 2 questions in your super chat, but hey, there you go. The Luminaire Chief. So I haven't flown it. Let me just say I haven't flown it. I did that interview, though, with Chief, and he's, he seems like put a lot of thought into it. I always feel comfortable recommending Luminaire products because there's 2 types of Luminaire products. One is a very, very high quality product, and the other is a budget product that sometimes disappoints, but if it lets you down, they just give you another one and they take care of you. So what I like to say is that if you should have great products, but if you're going to sell, like sometimes you sell budget products and they can't all be great, but at least have great customer service. GetFPV absolutely delivers in that respect. I would definitely put the Luminaire Chief over the Copus V2 because the Copus V2 has good hardware and good motors, but the Luminaire Chief also has good hardware and good motors. The difference is the frame. The Copus frame is a little bit less durable than the Chief frame, and the Chief is a race tested. If you're in the main reason to not buy the Luminaire Chief would be the price, but if you're already in the price range for the Luminaire Chief ready to fly, it's a great choice. Let's see here. Thanks for a very complete answer. It says Tfu 2100. A little too complete according to some, but there you go. That's what you get. Octamedia, thanks for $5. 5 Canadian dollars. I enabled RPM filtering by flashing JESC. And the quad has oscillations. Playing with it only makes it worse. So Octamedia, make sure that you have the correct motor pole count in the configuration tab. But the motors you have probably have 14 magnets, so probably the default is correct. The thing is, if you enabled RPM filtering and then you got this problem, turn off bidirectional D-shot and see if it goes away. The very first thing you need to do is just determine whether bidirectional D-shot really is causing the problem. If you're running JESC with BLHeli-S, it may be that the ESC isn't doing a great job of supporting it, and you may need to turn it off. You may not be able to make it work. Definitely also try reducing D-shot from 600 to 300 or 300 to 150. Zero FPV, thanks for £2. Any opinion on the Coax Loris? No, I saw, I think Albert Kim, Albert Kim, yeah, here it is, right here on his video. That Coax Loris is a new release, a high-def cam from Coax. 4K, stronger, lighter, micro size. I have not had a chance to test it and don't have an opinion on it. Unfortunately, there are too many cool new products coming out for me to test every single one of them. But there you go. It's $80. I don't know. I would look at what Albert Kim said, and then I would just say, seems about right. Thank you for your donation, Zero FPV. John Jensen, thank you for 5 Canadian dollars. I have a Beta FPV X-Night 4-inch and wondering why it comes with bi-blade props and if running tri-blade props will fry an ESC or something. John Jensen, first of all, to whoever was asking for a great lightweight 4-inch frame, what about the Beta FPV X-Night? As you get higher in prop size and as you try to stay under that 250 gram weight limit, one of the things that happens is people are using lighter and lighter motors. So these quote-unquote toothpicks, which by the time you're into the 4-inch and 5-inch range, is it really a toothpick? I guess it is, because we're just calling them toothpicks. They're trying to stay under 250 grams, and they have to give up a lot of weight. These tiny, tiny motors, you need lightweight props, both to keep the weight of the quad down, but also to keep from destroying the motor. Those motors probably don't have the torque to spin a tri-blade with authority. And you may also damage the motor or ESC with the increased current that were pulled. But mostly they come with bi-blade props because the motors lack the torque to spin tri-blade props with enough responsiveness to make the quad fly well. If you were to put tri-blades on there, maybe you want to go down to like 4-inch tri-blades. But the problem then is that the motors don't have the kV and the RPM. These toothpick style quads are really very tightly designed, and changing any aspect of them is probably not going to produce great results, because they're working so hard to stay under 250 grams. I like quads wants to know, where were the stick overlay in the last 3 packs a day episodes? Some of the quads that I have don't have black box on them. That's the answer. If I'm flying a quad that doesn't have black box, I can't do a stick overlay. For the Mr. Steel quad, I specifically put on a camera and recorded sticks just like Mr. Steel does, because I thought that would be a cute homage to what he does. I personally don't find stick cam to be that useful, because you really can't see what I'm doing with the sticks very well. I think that the black box stick overlay is perfect, but yeah, that's where they were. Amador Threat. Yeah, we're back. Okay, we're caught up. We're caught up on the super chats. Thank you. Coelho, Drunken Bullet. Drunken Bullet, thanks for $5 Australian. I got an R9 Lite module, 860 megahertz, but my receiver is 900 megahertz. Drunken Bullet, the 860 megahertz versus 915 megahertz depends on the region that you're in. If you're in Australia, I'm pretty sure you use 915 megahertz. But what you want to do is flash the Flex firmware to both the module and the receiver, and then you can switch regions without having to reflash. The Flex firmware is what you want. Mr. Rick James, thank you for $2. Mr. Rick James wants me to tell you guys about Chicken and Rippin', which I would do that for free, but thank you for $2. Let's see, where's Chicken and Rippin'? It's a multi-GP event, isn't it? Where is it? I should just go to the multi-GP website, because I did join the event. So if I just go to the MultiGP website, I can find it. This is an event that's happening is it next weekend? I think it's next weekend. Let me sign in here. Sign in. Okay. Have I posted the Mr. Steel flight test already? Yes, Airbender. Airbender, that was one of my 3 packs a day. I posted it to my channel this week. Where's the Chicken and Rippin' events? Where's my events? Joined races. I joined the race. What are you talking about? Oh, man. All right, hang on. Chapters. Where's my chapter? This is terrible. What is my problem? Where's my home chapter? Where are my events? Oh, my God. Best live stream ever. Knoxville, Tennessee. Yeah, but where's my chapter? Oh my God. Chapters. Okay. Tennessee. Knoxville. This has got to be my chapter. Thank you. What are we doing here? Manage. See, leave. I'm in the chapter. Events. Chicken and Rippin'. Join. Did I not join this last week? I thought I did. I don't know. My quad. There we go. Great. Am I in now? Have I joined? Yeah. Oh. Okay, well. The event is Chicken and Rippin'. It's in Nashville, Tennessee. And Joshua Moon has got a ton of prizes lined up for this event. There's camping available. There's a hotel nearby if you don't like camping. And let me get you the... Hang on. Where's the... Joshua Moon has got a little flyer he wants. Where's the... There we go. There's a little flyer. Cash payout, open class, racing and organized freestyle. All RC vehicles welcome. You can race a car. Okay. Lots of I think Joshua Moon has said that he thinks Corey is coming down. I don't know that for a fact. I'm going to be out there at least some of the weekend. Peckerwood's going to be there. A lot of people. So, there you go. Little promo there. Do I play the violin? I have in my life played the violin. More like the fiddle. XY Zai in the Discord wants to know, should I upgrade my Jumper T16 stock antenna? I wouldn't rush to do that. I got decent range, similar to Free Sky off the stock antenna, so I don't know. The chances of getting an antenna that isn't tuned right, like you may buy a Wi-Fi antenna, but it's not actually tuned for 2.4. It's tuned anyway. I would just stick with the stock antenna. Somebody's asking how to get a replacement lens for the DJI digital camera. Coelho is asking, $5 super chat. Thank you, Coelho. Which RunCam lens is compatible with the DJI camera? I got to tell you, I'm going to ask Drib. I'm going to ask him because he found one that worked, but I don't remember which one it was. Let me ask Drew. And let's see if he gets back to me. Donnie Ungaro, thank you for $5. Send a video link to change a motor direction without resoldering. Yes, sir. I can definitely do that for you. To change motor direction? Here you go. Donnie, let me just paste this in the chat for you, sir. Thank you for your $5 donation. That's the least I can do. Lucky Moniker, thanks for $5 in the super chat. The Ishi Novice 2. I replaced a dead motor, now it won't lift off. That is... Oh, get back there. Now let's see what it's doing. Oh, I need another W. What is it doing? Okay, so first of all, stop. What you're doing right now is incredibly dangerous. I'm going to answer your question, but first I'm going to chide you a little bit. This is so dangerous. This is not strapped down. It's just sitting next to you with props on, and you're going to do a test hover when you know it's not flying right. This could fly right into your face right now. This is so dangerous. Don't do this. Please don't do this. Please, no one do this. It's just sitting there with props on and you armed it. The best thing that could happen is it flies in your ceiling and puts a hole in your ceiling. And the worst thing that can happen is it flips out and it cuts you. Don't. Okay, Lucky Moniker says in the chat, thank you, noted. I'm so sorry to sound like your mom, but I'm so tired of people posting and emailing me. Please don't. Email me pictures of your cut up face and hands. I don't need to see that. And people are like, Lucky Moniker, I will get back to your question. People are like, hey, JB, look at what happened to me this weekend. Look, it cut off all my fingers. Here's 5 pictures of my bloody stumps. I had to go to the hospital. You should really let people know. And I'm like, that's like if you send me a picture where you like shot yourself in the hand with a gun and you're like, you should really let people know. It's like, we know. We know. You didn't get the message. I don't know. Okay. Don't send me pictures. We know. I don't need to be reminded. I definitely don't like to see your bloody pictures. This happens more than you realize. Okay, anyway, moving on. So why is your quad not taking off? Let's put mom away and let's just answer the question. Where'd the sound go? Where'd that sound? Okay. Okay, so what it just did there is called runaway protection. You tried to fly it and it like tried to flip out. It tried to flip out, but then runaway protection saved you from it flipping out and hurting you. Probably the motor is spinning the wrong direction. Since you just told me you replaced the motor, 99%, you replaced the motor, but you wired the wires up differently and the motor's spinning the wrong direction. So check the direction of the motor that you're spinning. But listen, everybody watching, watch what it does. Did you hear how it went? That little beep code means runaway protection just kicked in. But anytime you try to fly your quad and it goes, sometimes it'll go zip doom, and sometimes it'll go whoop bump, and sometimes whatever it does, if you start to throttle up and it goes disarm, that's probably runaway protection kicking in. One of the things that can cause that is the motor spinning the wrong direction. It could be a number of other things, but since you told me you just replaced the motor, that's what I'm going to go with. So flip 2 of the motor wires with each other and the motor will reverse direction. But don't just do that. Check the direction the motor is spinning. Go to the Betaflight Motors tab and see if the motor is spinning the right direction, because don't just trial and error it. Okay. Yeah, Betaflight just saved you. Remember my gentle admonition at the beginning of this that it could flip out and hurt you? If Betaflight didn't have built-in runaway protection that detects that the flip out's about to happen, right now you could have a hole in your roof or a bloody cut in your body. But you don't, because Betaflight has that protection. But that's the exact scenario where shit could go real, real wrong. Moving on. So how do you do it safely? How do you do it safely? Because sometimes, like, you check, but sometimes you get it wrong. Here's how you do it safely. Take the quadcopter outside. A place where if it pops up or flips out, no one will get hurt. Stand back a good direction. Arm the quad. Don't raise the throttle. The motors will spin. Now, if at that point it tries to flip out, now you know something's right. Without raising the throttle, roll left, right, pitch front, back, and just tilt the quad. This is easier to do if you have a bottom mount battery, but with a top mount battery, you could still make the quad kind of go zoot, 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 and then yaw, and it'll kind of go duk, 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 duk. And if it does all that without flipping out, you're probably fine. Then you can lift off. Okay, good question. Good question. Is the issue novice? Okay. Ratbait5757 says, which cam is it? RC18G. Ratbait says the Ratbait in the Discord says the Runcam RC18G works with the DJI. I personally cannot verify this, but Ratbait said, with a name like Ratbait, how could you go wrong? Ratbait says the RC18G worked for him. So that's something to keep in mind. Coelho, there's your... Thanks, Ratbait just earned your $5. Ratbait, I owe you $5. Oh. Harley Chalker wants to know, would you recommend a great pair of analog goggles with a high-quality VTX for the DJI system? What's more valid in 2 years? Harley, I don't think there's any question that analog, that the days of analog are now numbered. Now, how long will that last? I don't know. Like, I don't mean that analog will just be dead in a year. But I feel like the release of the DJI system was the beginning of the end for analog, because it said that digital FPV could be completely viable with few compromises. Not that DJI has no compromises, but that before DJI, the compromises to get high def were just like, not really worth it. But with DJI, it's like, probably worth it for a lot of people. So if you're looking for a top tier analog system, you are already in the point where your budget could get you the DJI system. And you have to at least ask if you would be happier over the long term with DJI. The big thing with DJI is cost. Even if you buy the goggles, you still got to buy the air unit, and the air unit is more expensive than analog. And latency, I think, is the big one. Variable latency and higher latency. I definitely have a lot of respect for... I call myself not very latency sensitive, but I noticed while flying the Mr. Steel build, which he focuses on the lowest latency you can get. That's why he uses a CCD camera instead of a CMOS camera. I did notice myself having more confidence diving into areas where I couldn't see my line and knowing that I could react in time, which kind of makes me think, maybe there's something to this latency stuff. But for a lot of people, the DJI system is going to be the image quality is so compelling that they're willing to give up other stuff. And I think that it's only going to get better. So DJI is going to release they've talked about releasing a 50 megabit per second firmware, and that's twice the current bit rate. Well, does that mean the latency is going to go down? Don't know. I think if you're future focused, you have to look hard at DJI. And I would not tell you to get DJI over analog. That's a decision you got to make, but I think you got to at least look hard. Maytech in the Discord, that's the username, not the Maytech flight controllers that we all know. I have a small problem with my new Holybro Copus Cinewhoop. The RSSI is stuck at 49. I'm using an RXSR. Maytech, to get RSSI out of the RXSR, you have to do some setup to cause the RXSR to put the RSSI in an aux channel. I'll say that sentence 10 times fast. Maytech, I'm going to give you the video that shows you how to set it up. I have a video that shows you exactly how to set it up. Here you go, man. If you, Maytech says, yeah, but my other quads don't need that. You may be using different receivers in your other quads, perhaps, or they may already be set up that way without you knowing it. But here's how to do it. Yapsy FPV says, when do you think we can order the TX16S? How long are they going to be back ordered to the max? Especially with the whole, like, the whole world is still feeling the effects of the pandemic. Production is all messed up and will be for the foreseeable future. At this point, if you want that product, I think you got to just pre-order it and wait. Normally, people are like, I'm not going to pre-order. I'm just going to wait for it to be in stock. By the time it comes into stock, they'll probably just barely have enough to fill the pre-orders and you'll be missed out. So I think at this point, if you want a TX16X or a T18, you just got to pre-order and wait. That's my opinion. Yeah. Let's see here. Almoner Threat 99, thanks for $5. Have you heard any whispers about the TBS Micro TX modules being available? There have been some available, Almoner Threat. You just missed them. Like, I know they were in stock at a couple of stores. If you want them, you kind of just got to pre-order and wait. And then they'll come and you'll get it. But waiting for them to be in stock is like, I feel like that's not going to happen for a while. The supply will not meet the demand or exceed the demand for a little while. I would love to be wrong about that, but they were in stock. Because on previous live streams, people were saying, ooh, Crossfire modules in stock, 5 left. And then people bought them. And now you missed the boat. Sorry about that. Hey, Jesse, thanks for 10 Canadian dollars. Hey, Jesse, being really generous this stream. Thank you, sir. Thank you, hey, Jesse. Reformatted, 32 gig card, still not reading. You do not need to do anything with ports, hey, Jesse. There isn't a tab in config to turn on black box. Hey, Jesse, you should see the black box tab. Have you got expert mode turned on? Black box may not appear if you don't have expert mode turned on. Hold on. Let me plug a quad in here. Let me plug a flight controller in and let's look together. There we go. So if we go to up here in the upper right, if we turn off expert mode, how do we turn? There we go. Does black box go away? No, black box is still there. How do you not see the black box tab? I don't understand. Like, you should see the black box tab, and then right here you should be able to pick, well, this flight controller doesn't have SD card, but you should be able to pick SD card right here. I don't know how you don't have that, hey, Jesse. You telling me you don't have a black box tab? That's pretty weird. Ritter Friedrich, thank you for $2. Thanks for LipoCharger. Bought the D6 Duo. Awesome. Good recommendation. William Barlow, thank you for $3. What whoop would you recommend? Mob 6 or Beta 65? That's tough. I think the build quality and durability of the Beta 65 Meteor is higher than the Mobula. But a lot of people would rather buy the Mobula, which is cheaper. If I had to answer which one I personally would pick, I think I would take the Beta 65. But the Mob 6 is a great choice, and a lot of people are happy with it. It's just, I've heard, it's tough to know how prevalent these stories are, but I hear more stories of the Mobula 6 died on me than I hear stories of the Beta 65 died on me. On the other hand, maybe that just means the Mobula 6 is more popular. Hey, Jesse says there's no black box slider in the configuration tab. That's normal. Hey, Jesse. Sorry, guys. The ability to turn black box on and off in the configuration tab, that went away some time ago. You just need to configure it in the black box tab. But the thing is, hey, Jesse, in the black box tab, when you insert the SD card, it should say that the SD card is detected. Shane McDonough, thanks for $5. I'm paying you for advice you've given me in the past. Do you think DJI will add real-time audio so I can hear the motors while flying? Shane, I've asked DJI about that, and the answer has been that it's not. They've said that it's not possible, which is confusing to me because we know the air unit has a microphone. So it seems surprising that they couldn't just take that data and transmit it over the wireless link. But who knows? But I've asked about that, and a lot of sometimes when I ask about a feature, they go, "Oh, that's a good idea. We can do that." When I asked about audio being transmitted to the goggles, their answer was not, "Oh yeah, we can do that." It was like, well. So I have to say I wouldn't count on that being implemented, although it's odd to me that they couldn't. Because, like, if you've got a 25 megabit per second data stream, how much of that do you really need for audio? Like, you know, could 200, you know, you don't need a lot for audio. There you go. Layman Board FPV says the mic may be directly connected to the DVR. That's just not how DJI tends to do things, though. DJI tends to... 2:21 p.m. We're now cracking the second beer. This is a 2-beer live stream. DJI tends to do things in a very modular and future-proof way. So I'm surprised that they couldn't do it. Maybe there's a technical reason why they won't do it. Frank Nicholas says, do the DJI goggles even have speakers? They have an AV out. So in theory, if they have an AV out, they could output to a headset, although maybe that's the reason. At the very least, people might want to have that on the DVR, though. Stefan in the Discord asks, I just finished your recent 3 packs a day video and was wondering if you could clarify what you meant about the difference in throttle control between what you're used to and Steel's quad. I mean, it's generally something you have to experience by flying, but it seems like something we'd want to emulate in beta flight if it's good. So here's what I mean, Stefan. Imagine a scenario where you've done a great big split S or a power loop, and you need to fly under an obstacle and out. So what you need to do is you need to drop in big, and then you need to find the throttle point where you arrest your fall. But you don't want to undershoot boom, and crack into the ground, and you don't want to overshoot boom and pop up and hit the obstacle. Okay, that is easier to do on Steel's build than it is on the typical builds that I fly. A lot of times, what you'll see me do is as I drop in, I'll kind of go zoom, 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 and the quad will kind of pop up, but I'll make it and I'll get out. With Steel's quad, as you dive in, you can very easily and very quickly bzz, hit that point where you arrest your fall and fly out without popping up or undershooting and hitting the ground. I have to do some more experimentation, but based on other quads I've flown, I would probably attribute that largely to lightweight and low pitch props. With high pitch props especially, and especially if paired with a higher KV motor, but high pitch props and a heavy quad, it's a lot harder to find the exact point where you're hovering versus where you're overshooting or especially undershooting. It's possible that KISS has something to do with it as well. I can't rule that out, but I'm really tempted to, after I'm done with all of this stuff, to put a Betaflight flight controller in that Apex build and find out how it flies and what the differences are. Not because like I know it'll fly different, and in many ways it'll probably fly worse, if only because that quad is highly tuned to that exact flight controller. But I'm really tempted to see what the differences are. Okay, I think it's the lightweight. Did I use the same LiPo as Steel? I did, Killcoin FPV. I bought one of Steel's exact Thunder Power LiPos. I also flew it with some Race Day Quad 1050 packs, which are heavier, but I flew some packs exactly as Steel set it up. The only change I made was my rates. I put my rates on the quad, and the reason for that is that when you change rates, the muscle memory is all different, and it takes a while to readjust. And I didn't want to put myself in a situation where I was flying the quad like crap because the rates were not what I expect. And then I knew I would fly like crap for the first 10 or 15 packs, at least, if I flew with Steel's rates. So I copied my rates onto it. Yeah. Other than that, I flew it exactly as Steel has it set up. I take it back. I also, the very first flight I had, I crashed and I ripped off the foam GoPro mount. And I was like, all right, screw this thing. And I put a 3D printed mount on it, which, okay, now the experiment's completely invalid. Right. There you go. Steele showed up in the comments and he said, well, since you changed the rates, now the PIDs aren't right. That's an interesting claim. I wonder about how much difference that really makes, because if you're doing a lot of full stick moves, snap moves, then I do think that changing rates does change PIDs. But if you're mostly staying mid stick and center stick, I don't see how changing rates would change the PIDs very much. But there you go. That doesn't mean it's not anything to it. I felt like I was giving the quad the fairest chance to be at its best by putting my rates on it as opposed to flying his rates. There was a question here I wanted to get. Gregory is asking, Gregory says, is Hey Jesse trying to record black box to the DJI Air Unit SD card? I don't think so, and no, that's not possible. ZFPV says rates directly influence PIDs for sure. Well, here's the question, ZFPV. If you're doing Rubik's Cubes, yes, rates affect PIDs, and here's why I think that's true. I mean, I'm sure that's true. The higher your rate, the faster the quad is going to be going when it has to stop. So if you try to do a Rubik's Cube with 600 degree per second rates, the P and D gain are going to be very different for those snap stops than if you're doing like 1300 degrees per second. You're going to need to have your P and your D gain much more refined at a 1300 degrees per second rate to do snap 180s and Rubik's Cubes. You're going to be much more likely to get overshoot. But if you're staying in the mid-stick region and you're not doing snap stops, let's say you've got the quad and you're doing a 400 degree per second barrel roll. It doesn't matter whether you're at 25% stick deflection or 35% stick deflection. The quad's doing the exact same thing, just your stick is in a different location. So my gut reaction, my hot take is that when you're doing snap moves, rates strongly affect PIDs. But if you're mostly doing smooth moves, rates don't affect PIDs very much. That's my take. Anyway. Let's see here. Zero FPV, thank you for €5 in the super chat. Have you tested the range of the T18? I have not. I just got the T18 in the mail like 2 days ago. Does the internal 2.4 gig antenna have any downsides except the fixed orientation? I am very much looking forward to finding out the answer to that question. Just like I did the range test on the TX16, I'm going to do the range test on the T18, and we're going to see. For those of you who don't know, the T18 has built-in R9, basically. It's a 900 megahertz chipset that's R9, FreeSky R9 compatible. And this is the 900 megahertz antenna. The 2.4 gig antenna is built in, and everybody's wondering whether that's going to affect range. One of the things that some radios have done in the past is built the antenna into the handle. Now that's not true for this one. You can just see that there's no wires here. But putting the antenna inside could potentially affect range, and I will definitely be comparing the 2.4 gig range, and I'll be comparing the 900 megahertz range against a legit FreeSky R9 module. Anders Martinson says, did you pay for the steel quad, or did Get FPV send it to you? No, I bought it. I wanted, whenever a vendor sends you product, so first of all, I'm always completely straight and completely honest about any product, regardless of if a vendor sent it to me or if I bought it. But if a vendor sends you a product and then you badmouth the product, sometimes the vendor feels bad about that. And I have a relationship with Get FPV because they're just a company I've worked with. I'm proud to have worked with them. I have an affiliate with them. And I thought, you know, they're not going to like it if I badmouth the product. But if I'm going to badmouth it, at least I want to know that I paid retail price for it. So I bought it. Because, like, you know, I've just thought if I want to make sure that if there's anything bad about it, I don't feel any hesitation. And then I would still do it, but I would feel hesitation. I just didn't want to be in that situation. So I bought it. I paid for the steel quad, the 900. Is it worth it? It's so tough to answer that question because, like, I know a guy who bought steel, these $900 steel quads from GetFPV. Steel doesn't build them. GetFPV builds them, as far as I know. Steel has in the past sold hand-built. He soldered it himself, and he sold them on eBay, I think, and they were like $1,100. I know a person who has bought more than one of those because he just is a big fan of Mr. Steel, and he thinks they fly amazing, and that was what he wanted to do. Now, it turns out he just has enough money that he can afford to spend $1,100 on a steel build, and that's just where his money's at. Is it worth it? I think to the average person, no, it's not worth spending $900 on this quad. I think for the average person, you could buy this exact kit. You build it yourself. Steel has a build tutorial, a full build tutorial. You could spend $600 on this gear. Now that's still expensive, but that's just retail price for all this KISS gear. You could buy that kit from TBS and build it yourself and save yourself $300. It's only worth $900 to someone who has a lot of disposable income and just wants it. But I will say this. It definitely, when Steel says that this is the ultimate result of refining 6 years of blah, 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 it's not BS. This is a very highly refined and tailored quad, and it definitely delivers an experience that's very unique. And if you want that experience, this is one way to get it and know you're getting it. So, okay. Amador Threat 99, thank you for $5 in the super chat. Should I pre-order the Crossfire Micro TX, or what's your recommended location? I don't know. Who's going to get it first? I have no idea. Pick your favorite store, cross your fingers, and pre-order it. I don't know. Also, I'll pay someone $90 plus shipping for a Crossfire module, says Amador Threat. Hey, Jesse. Wow, Gregory got it right. Hey, Jesse is trying to record Black Box to the Air Unit SD card. Gregory, you win the gold star for the live stream. That you cannot do that, hey, Jesse. It has to be plugged into the flight controller, my friend. What do we got here? Here's a screenshot of a question. Is it a question? Okay. Let's see here. Does the length of the coax affect the length of the 2.4 gig active element? No, it does not, David Gregorian. The coax can be any length it needs to be, as long as the active element is the correct length, the antenna will be tuned correctly. That's kind of the whole point of the coax. And stop spamming the chat, David Gregorian. But there's your answer. Michael O says, whenever I crash in the field, 90% of the time, my quad won't rearm. My arming angle is 180 degrees. I'm using an XM Plus receiver. Any ideas? Michael O, anytime Betaflight refuses to arm, I want to look at the OSD. You should have the warning element. That's one of the OSD elements. It's on by default in 4.1 and forward. It was not turned on by default in 3.5.7. You want to look at the warning OSD element and see what warning it's showing. That will tell you why it's refusing to arm, and that's where to proceed. That's how to proceed. Timbo FPV says, couldn't you just put Steel's tune on a kit you built? No. So Timbo FPV, if you buy Steel's exact kit and build it, then yes, you can put his tune on it. I don't know if he makes it public or not. I assume he does. Like, if you bought his kit, the least he could do is give you his tune. But you can't, and this is going to sound dumb to some of you, but there are people who are doing this. You can't just take Steel's PIDs and put them on any kit you build. Like, there was someone who was saying, I used Steel's exact flight controller, ESC, and motors on a different frame. Nope. His tune is highly, highly refined and different, even a different, normally I would say a different frame probably makes no difference. But different frames are going to have different resonance characteristics. His tune is highly, highly refined, and I would not put his PIDs on. If you build his exact build, then yes, probably you can copy his PIDs. However, the thing you guys need to know is, if Steel tunes his quad in Atlanta and you live in Denver, guess what? His PIDs aren't right for you. And that's, by the way, he's talked about how he uses different props and different altitudes. The air density changes, and it does make a difference. And if you're running default PIDs and you're just muscling through it by flying the quad with the sticks, then it probably doesn't matter. But if you have a highly, highly refined tune and you change something like air density, the tune is no longer as highly refined as it was. Dav says his PIDs are way too high for any of my KISS setups. Exactly. Lots of people are going to smoke motors on his PIDs. Only his setup really is ideal for running his PIDs. It's why the default PIDs on almost any quad are actually detuned for most people. Because if you tune the PIDs, let's go the other way. If you tune the PIDs to the nth degree in Denver, Colorado at 10,000, 11,000 feet or whatever it is, and then you try to fly those PIDs in Miami at sea level, you're going to smoke your motors because the P gain, effectively the gains will be too high. Sunny FPV, thanks for $2 in the super chat. Sunny FPV wants me to roll out that beautiful website. Okay, for $2, I'll do it. This is my website, fpvnodal.com. Just put a new header up here. New this picture taken by Scarecrow FPV, James Pellegrini, an amazing photographer. He sent me this picture. I was like, I'm putting that right on my website. And it has the ultimate FPV shopping list, which is my list of, you know, recommended products. Thank you, Highwave, for the excuse to, or Sunny for the excuse to bring that out. Thanks, Highwave, for 10 euros. No question. And Tark61, thanks for $5. What do you recommend for protecting the VTX flight controller better? I broke the micro USB on the flight controller. I broke the MMCX connector on the VTX. That's a tough one, Tark. The USB, you just got to be a little careful plugging it in. You can get magnetic USB inserts where you stick the magnetic insert in the USB connector and then the cable has a magnet, and they just connect and disconnect with no stress. But you just got to be a little careful. Maybe you're just a little rough with it when you're plugging it in. In general, it shouldn't break off. I try to be as gentle as possible when I'm plugging and unplugging. If you broke the MMCX, it may be that you need your antenna got yanked. So you definitely want to secure that antenna. I have a video. About antenna mounting where I show how I mount my VTX antenna. You can actually see it right in the
Joshua Bardwell.
picture. All right. Shush, Joshua. I will Tark61. I will go ahead and put that in the chat for you, and you can see how I mount it. Yeah, that's true. Someone, Nismo says, even if you have the same hardware, the PIDs can vary. That's true. The main thing that will cause the PIDs to vary, other than environmental factors like air density, motor kV. Motor kV typically varies by at least 50 kV. So if you were to take 100 motors and they all are labeled 1750 kV, and you actually measure the kV, if they're labeled 1750 kV, you may see some of them coming in closer to 1725, some of them coming in closer to 1775, and sometimes there's more variance than that. But I think a 50 kV range is like the minimum you would expect to see, because at the end of the day, they just grab the magnets out of the box, they stick them in the motor, they wind the motor, and then they shove it out the door. They're not like carefully matching the magnet field strength and so forth. So you may end up with a quad that has closer to 1800 kV motors. And if you have highly refined the tune for 1750 kV, then there's going to be a difference. That's absolutely true. Do I have a Discord server? Yes, I do, Craig Hudson. And the way to get on the Discord server is to become a patron. One of the benefits of being a patron is that you get to join my Discord server. That's one of the few things. I help everybody. You know the drill, guys. I help everybody for free, almost everybody, for free. Email, Facebook Messenger, just spend hours a day answering those questions. But the one thing that I reserve for my patrons is access to the Discord server for as little as $2 a month. Link in the video description to my Patreon page. You can subscribe to me, and you can get to join the Discord server. And I got to tell you, there's been an influx of people ever since the pandemic. A lot of people decided to use their pandemic time to build quads, and there's been an influx of people. The Discord server has gotten so busy that like I show up and it says 200 messages since you were last here, and I'm like, I can't read 200 messages. I don't know. But the other people in this beautiful community, the other people on the Discord server are super helpful. And even when I'm not there to personally answer everybody's questions, people are still having a good time and getting help. It's really kind of awesome. So that's how you get access to it. There you go. Rusted points out regarding that broken USB connector, some flight controllers only use surface mount USB connectors. Other ones have through holes through the PCB. That's a good point, although I'm not sure how you would know which of those it was before you actually before you bought it. AC3 Smack in the YouTube chat asks, why are my motors still spinning over half throttle when the motor stop is checked using Betaflight F4 flight controller? If you have motor stop enabled, air mode will override motor stop, but doesn't motor stop just go away when you turn air mode on? I'm not sure about that. If you have motor stop turned on, but the motors are still spinning, I think it's because you have air mode enabled, and air mode overrides that. I think that's the answer I'm going to go with. Let's see here. Daruk Kikevi says, I just updated my Nazgul 6S to Betaflight 4.1. All the motors are the right direction, but when I arm and give throttle, one motor turns faster and runaway kicks in. Any idea why this happened? Daruk, there are 4 things you need to check when you get runaway. The first one is your flight controller alignment. Make sure that you go to the setup tab, and you make sure that when you move the quadcopter with your hands, the 3D model moves the right way. That checks alignment. The second is motor direction. Spin the motors with props off in the motors tab. Use the motor slider and check the motor direction against the diagram in the upper left. Don't work off of memory. Use the diagram because the flight controller may not match your memory of how you think it ought to be. Motor direction. Motor order or motor mapping. Raise each of the sliders one by one, and then check that the correct motor number spins relative again to that diagram. And the fourth one is prop. You have a clockwise prop on a counterclockwise motor or vice versa. Those are the 4 things that almost always cause a runaway. And then what happens is you say to me, I checked those things. That's not it. And I go check again. And you go, I checked it again. It's something else. And I go, check it again. And then you go, oh, my board alignment was wrong. A lot of times people kind of just check these things and they just miss it. I've had it happen myself, but it's almost always one of those 4 things. The 17th floor says there's not a single video that explains how to connect Crossfire diversity. It's the same. The 17th floor, don't freak out. It's the same as the regular Crossfire Nano, guys. Like, everybody wants a diagram that shows them exactly where every single wire goes. And I get that, but like, just apply a little bit of sort of thinking and you'll see. Channel 1 is IO1. Channel 2 is IO2. Here's the Crossfire Nano. Here is channel 1 and channel 2. It's exactly the same. It's exactly the same as setting up a Nano. There's all this other shit. Just don't need it. Just ignore it. Channel 1, channel 2. Go find a video that shows you how to set up a Crossfire Nano, and it is exactly the same. There's just all this other BS. Just don't do that. Okay. I say that because, like, people ask questions like, oh, how do I set up Crossfire on the Radio Master TX16S? And I'm like, it's the same as on the T16. There's, like, literally nothing different. Okay, like, maybe there's something, like, a tiny bit different, like, the button is in a different place. But, like, just apply the tiniest bit of power of abstraction, and it's the same. Okay. Yeah, Popular Mechanic says, but can't you just do it for them? Yeah, I know. I really get as close as anybody, but there's only so far I'm willing to go. Like, I'm going to need to make 5 videos. How to set up Crossfire on Jumper T18. How to set up Crossfire on Radio Master TX. It's the same video. It's just a different radio in each one. No, I'm not going to do that. Ciati FPV is here. Ciati is still going to stream. You streaming today, Ciati? Ciati just did he called it the Quarren stream, where he streamed for like 30 days in a row. That's kind of cool. You streaming today, man? Michael Morgan, thank you for 10 bucks in the super chat. I pre-ordered a Crossfire Micro TX and a Nano receiver from TBS. Then I built a little shrine, and I'm wearing a purple sarong until it arrives. Honestly, guys, if you do want to get the best chance of getting a Crossfire module, probably ordering from TBS is the way to do it. They obviously are going to get them first. However, the problem is that then your shipment has to make it out of Hong Kong, and sometimes shipments out. My Radio Master was held up in Hong Kong for like 2 weeks. There just wasn't a plane to carry it. So it's possible people ordering from U.S. retailers would get it first because, like, their bigger shipment would make it out first, but there's no way to know. Probably the safest thing to do is just to order from TBS and cross your fingers. Ciati is streaming today, so we are 13 minutes before the end of the stream. You're streaming? Damn right I am, he says. He is streaming today. Ronnie Rankin says no, but Ciati says yes, and I think Ciati would know. Can you update a TBS Pro 32 Nano VTX while also using smart audio, and how would you wire that? What do you mean update? I don't know what you mean by update. Is it you update the firmware to the Pro 32? Is it because it doesn't have, I see. It's because the Pro 32 Nano doesn't have USB. And it uses the wires for update, doesn't it? It uses the smart audio pad for update. No, I don't think I don't see how you would do that. Like, I'm not sure how you would do a firmware update on this anyway, but I assume it uses the signal wire. And if you're using it for Crossfire, I think you would have to, I don't see how you would do that without desoldering it. Like, normally you would just plug into USB, but this doesn't have USB. Yeah, the firmware update for this one is via Crossfire. Pro 32 HV can be updated through USB port. Nano can only be updated over the air when it's, yeah. So the only way to update the Pro 32 Nano is by connecting it directly to a Crossfire receiver. That is the only way. So you cannot do that while using smart audio. Edgar Poe says, hi, Joshua. Sometimes it happens that you charge batteries and for some reason you can't fly that day. Should I discharge the storage and charge the next day if planning to fly the next day? My rule of thumb, Edgar, is I will leave my packs charged for definitely 1 full day. It's just not worth the hassle to take them all down to storage for a couple hours and then put them back and then charge them again. Past about 2 days, maybe I would think about putting them in storage. That's my personal rule of thumb. But 1 day, like if you meant to fly today and you're definitely going to fly tomorrow, just leave them. That's what I say. Kosiba says you can use smart audio. Just use smart audio via Crossfire. Hang on, back up. Smart audio is a very specific thing. People use the word smart audio to just mean remote control of the video transmitter. That's not the case. If you're using crossfire control of your Nano, you are not using smart audio. I mean, maybe you could argue, oh, it's the same protocol. It's just being carried by crossfire. You're using crossfire control. If you have the VTX set for smart audio control, then I don't think you could use crossfire, because they have to be switched manually. Sam Jones really wants to know. You've been asking this question, Sam, a couple times, so I'm gonna. But you haven't been spamming the chat, Sam, and I appreciate that. Sam Jones wants to know, what would you say is the best quad, goggles, and drone for $300 or $400? I think that you're going to struggle to get a quad, goggles, and a drone. Oh, you mean controller for that price? Let me think. To come in under $400. Okay, here's what I would say. That price is severely restricting, but I think you can do it. For about $100, you could get the Radio Master TX16, the basic one, not the Pro. Or you could get like a QX7 for about $100. That's your controller. For goggles, the Eachine EV800D is about $80 to $100. I think. Now you have about $200 for your quad, and I would say the Sidora SL5E. The iFlight Sidora SL5E, and then you're under $400, and that's pretty freaking impressive. I got to tell you, that's a pretty good kit for I feel like the place you're giving up the most is in the goggles, but you go straight from a $100 set of box goggles to a $300 set of Fat Shark goggles. There's really not a lot in between. But there you go, Sam Jones. That's the answer to your question. That'd be a good video. Yeah, I mean, Wiza points out we don't have batteries, chargers, etc. But that's not what he asked. He asked for quadcopter goggles and controller under $400, and I'm kind of impressed that I did it. Michael O says, Michael O is the guy who asked about when I failsafe, I can't rearm. The quad doesn't show any warnings, and the beeper won't work. Michael O, is the quad just completely shut down? Like, is there any sign that the flight controller is still working? Like, if you have the timer, does it still counting up? Can you enter the OSD? Try to enter the OSD menu. Is it just like completely locked up and locked out? There have been a few rare cases in the past where the flight controller will just completely lock up, and then it obviously wouldn't rearm. So try to find any sign of life, Michael O. Cooper Lane says, I can't discover... Oh, we lost your question there, my friend. I can't discover any sensors after recently installing Crossfire on my QX7. I did the inverter mod. All Lua scripts do not work. I have bad news for you. Your inverter mod is screwed up. I'm very sorry to say that. You have no sensors, meaning no telemetry, and the Lua script doesn't work. That means that... But your control link does work. That means the downstream is fine and the upstream is borked. And the most likely explanation for that is that when you did the inverter mod, you did it wrong or you broke something. This sucks. I'm really sorry this happened to you. I hesitate to recommend the QX7 for people who want to do Crossfire, because a small percentage of people will just damage their radio and then need a new main board when they try to do the inverter mod. And some people say, that's not that hard. You just do the inverter mod, it's fine. Okay, but like 5%, 3%, 9%, some percent of people just destroy their radio. And then what? Then you're in a bad situation. I'm sorry to say, Cooper Lane, it sounds like you're up. Maybe if you go back and re-examine your solder joints, you'll see where you made the mistake. But that sucks. 6 minutes to the end of the stream. Aaron Ciotti is in the chat. He is going to be streaming at 3 p.m. after me. What are you doing today, Aaron? Post it in the chat. Start posting that link too, my friend. Is it even worth it to upgrade to mid-range goggles? Asks Eric Allen. That's a tough one, Eric. There are good goggles. The Sky Zone goggles, like the Sky O2, for 300 bucks. I feel like I would rather have a set of Sky Zones for 300 bucks than an Eachine box goggle for 100 bucks. Not that the Eachine box goggle is terrible. It's just I don't like the box goggle experience. I think a $300 set of Sky Zones is a very, very solid choice and worth upgrading to. You do have to ask the question, if you're going to spend $300 on a set of Sky Zones, would you rather spend $400 on a set of Sky Zone 040s with the OLED screens, which are mwah, but that's $100 more. So for some people, they're going to stretch to get to $300, and that $400 is just out of range. For some people, they're like already at $300, and they're like, yeah, what's another $100? It just depends on what your budget is. Fat Shark Scout, very good choice, Mr. Shady. Fat Shark Scout doesn't get quite as much love from me. I don't know why. Eachine's just been more popular, I guess. Fat Shark Scout's a good one. What don't I like about box goggles? Well, off-axis, the bottom line is that when you put box goggles on your face, you are looking at a screen that is 6 inches from your face. When you put Fat Shark style goggles on, there are two separate screens, one for each eye, and the optics make it feel like those screens are about 6 feet away from your face. It's just a fundamentally different sort of viewing experience. When do you expect the Jumper T16 to drop in price, asks Adrian Shkumbov. I don't know, Adrian. I'm surprised it hasn't yet. If the T18 is available for a price of $150, $160, you can't sell the T16 for the same price. I can only guess that vendors are still holding the price of the T16 because the T18 is not yet widely available, and they still have stock of the T16. Personally, I don't think anybody should be buying the T16 today until it gets marked down. It's still an okay radio, except for the problem with the ribbon cables, which does affect a large number of people. But there are many, many people who are using the T16 and are happy with it. It's just, if you're buying today, you should wait 2 weeks and get a T18, unless they're offering the T16 at a discount. I certainly would expect the T16 to be marked down whenever the T18 is actually in stock. You just can't sell last year's model for the same price as this year's model. Coelho FPV, thanks for $5 more. Good evening to you, sir. Jay Vlis, thank you for 549 euros. When building a new quad, what parts do you recommend keeping the same? What parts do you recommend upgrading? Jay Vlis, when building a new quad, I upgrade anything that broke on the old one. A lot of times the motors are worth replacing because they're so bashed up. I mean, it just depends on if you want to keep the quad the same or if you're looking to try something new. Oftentimes I can keep the flight controller in the ESC. Sometimes I keep the motors. I mean, if the motors are in okay shape, but I'm just changing the frame, maybe I keep it all together. It just depends on how the quad has worn over time. Okay. All right, guys. 2 minutes to the end of the stream. Aaron Ciotti, are you there? Jay Vlies, I did not read your super chat, but now I did. Alep FPV wants to share this picture in the Discord. Alep got the signatures of all of us at the protest in Washington before coronavirus changed everything. Look at that. Look at all those signatures. Mr. Steele, JB, Cricket, Drib. Whoever this guy is, I don't really recognize his signature. Sorry to whoever you are. Orion FPV wants to know, what would cause a quad to fall out of the sky at the exact same time every pack? That is an interesting question, Orion. I would hover it and see. Oh, crap. Sorry, guys. My stupid OneDrive kicked back in because it's been 2 hours since the beginning of the stream. Sorry about that. Doesn't matter. Stream's almost over. That's a good question. I would hover it and see if it really is the exact same time or is it something else. I'd want to nail that down. Well, guys, it is 3 p.m. That's the end of the stream. I will stream again tomorrow night, Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I believe that Aaron Ciotti is going to be streaming. He said he was streaming today, but then he hasn't been back to post the link to his stream. Let me see if I can get that. Hey Jesse, it's very risky to put in super chats right at the end of the stream. Hey Jesse, thank you for 5 Canadian. What would be a decent freestyle quad for about 350 USD? I mean, iFlight Sidora is $300 and is pretty solid. That's one that comes to mind. By the time you get into the $350, $400 range, you start having a lot more options for higher end stuff. There we go. There's Ciati with his link. But yeah, if you're, I think $300, you have a few pretty good choices, and then somewhere around $400, you start getting into bespoke builds. Well, it's not quite bespoke, but things like the Luminaire Chief. You start getting into really branded builds from named pilots with custom parts. But if you're looking for just a sort of off-the-shelf, ready-to-fly, iFlight Sidora is a fair choice. Brandon Greens, thank you for $5. Stop giving me super chats, guys. I gotta let Ciati go on. Hey Joshua, my quadcopter flips on full throttle. Do you have a solution? Thank you, Brandon Greens. You're gonna need to reach out to me. We'll troubleshoot this together, but I'm gonna go ahead and end the chat. I'm gonna need to have some back and forth to get some information from you anyway on that one. So let's let this one go. Michael O, also you're welcome to message me and we'll continue troubleshooting this. But I gotta get off the air because Ciati is going on the air doing, what are you doing today, Ciati? He's doing a Q&A, editing some Lake Lanier footage. Oh, Tiny Trainer, Emax 1406, 6000 kV. Alrighty, guys. That's going to do it for this stream. I'll see you tomorrow and throughout the rest of the week on my channel. Happy flying, everybody. Thank you for coming out. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'm out of here.